What is good, Joe? Welcome back to the airport. Welcome back to a brand new video. We are here. We are back. And listen, man, we got some rumors to talk about because Miami Heat have been involved as usual. It's the off season, so we're gonna have to be involved in some rumors here and there. You know what I'm saying? There's a couple of players that we've been linked to, and obviously the NBA draft is coming up. I did make some draft content, a couple videos, so y'all go check that out, man. I'll be making more draft content as the days come closer. Finals are going on right now. 2-1 Pacers as we speak. Let me know who y'all think is going to take that series. It's very interesting. I thought OKC was actually going to, handle them pretty easily, but man, these Pacers just don't quit, huh? So we'll see what happens with that. But listen, let's just get right into the rumors because we're all here to talk about one name, and that's Kevin Durant. Because Kevin Durant has been again linked to Miami. Shams has tweeted saying Kevin Durant, and his group have been circling down some teams, or some teams have been calling, and I think Miami is one of 5 teams, I believe. I think it's Miami, San Antonio, Minnesota, New York, and there was one more team involved, which I cannot remember off the top of my head right now. But regardless, Miami is one of the teams mentioned, and we've heard Shams say last night that the Heat have been in contact with the Suns. We've heard Zach Lowe said that the Heat are going to try to get themselves involved with this trade. Now, if y'all remember back to the trade deadline, the Heat did call the Suns for Kevin Durant. They called the Suns. They offered them Jimmy. They offered them Josh Richardson. They offered them a pick. And I think this is disputed because there's people saying that they offered them Jovic, but then Jimmy's camp is also denying that. So I don't know if they offered Jovic or not, but regardless, they offered a deal to the Suns for Durant. The Suns declined, so then they needed more. So here's where we stand with this whole KD situation. Now, number one is, do y'all, the Heat fans, do y'all want Kevin Durant on the team? Now, most circumstances, I'd be saying, what team wouldn't want Kevin Durant? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's Kevin Durant. He's the greatest scorer to me in NBA history, and he is just an amazing player. Even at 37, I mean, he still had a really good year last year. So, what team wouldn't want to have a talent like that on your roster? But obviously, for every good thing, there's always a bad thing that might come with it. And number one, he is 37. Number two, he's making a lot of money. And number three, does Kevin Durant put you over the top? Now, to answer all these 3 questions is going to be interesting because obviously we know his age, we know his contract. Those 2 are undisputable. The third question is really like what's the most, I guess, subjective question. Is Kevin Durant going to put your team over the top if you're Miami? Now, originally, before these playoffs kind of rolled through, I would have probably said no. If you told me that our team was our roster that got absolutely humiliated by Cleveland in the playoffs, and if you replaced, let's say, Wiggins with Kevin Durant, do you think that team could have, abolished that embarrassment and not only beat the Cavs, but made it to the conference finals at least? It would have been tough. But then I saw the playoffs unfold. I'm like, listen, no shot to Indiana. Indiana's a really good team. We're seeing that right now. But Indiana, on paper, don't have like the most stacked team. They're underdogs. They're a team that is, I believe, the 5 seed, originally coming into these playoffs. So, or the 4 seed, or either 4 or 5, I believe. So, Indiana, pushing OKC, the best team in the NBA throughout the whole year, and being up 2-1, kind of showed me that the whole conference was wide open. Boston lost to New York. Now, obviously, Tatum got hurt, but that was after they were down 3-1. I believe they were going to lose that game anyway. So they were going to be down 3-1 no matter what. They lost in Boston, but then they got closed out in New York. So the Celtics disappointed. They had some real issues in the playoffs. The Knicks had issues in the playoffs with Indiana. The Cavs had issues with Indiana in the playoffs. So it's like this Eastern Conference, which looked like a 2-team race at the beginning of the year or at the end of the regular season when when Boston and Cleveland were kind of running away with it, these two teams disappointed massively in the playoffs. So maybe the Heat could have made a run with Kevin Durant. Who knows? With KD, Bam, Tyler. Now, we don't know how it's going to look next year, because you can't just account for one team making moves and everyone else just staying still. You know, you obviously are going to have to account for multiple teams doing a lot of different things. Boston is going to try to do something. You know, whether financially, they're going to have to do something with Porzingis, Holiday. They're going to have to do something with that. There's even rumors that Derek White and Jaylen Brown might be moved as well. Tatum is obviously going to be missing, I think, probably the full year, but they're going to look drastically different for the better or for the worse. We don't know. The Knicks have fired their head coach. The Sixers dealt with injuries throughout the whole season, have had their star players being hurt and on and off, and they were disappointing even when they were playing. So, you know, they're going to be trying to, you know, retool and come back for more for a contending season for them. The Cavs got absolutely embarrassed as the 1 seed by Indiana. So, you know, they're going to try to do something more to increase their chances of winning. So every team is going to try to get better. But Miami with Kevin Durant, on paper, I don't think that this roster is a contender, even with KD, Bam, and Tyler. But you still have KD, Bam, and Tyler, if you know what I mean. So anything could happen. Like, they have an outside shot, or like they have a shot. They have like a decent-ish shot at winning decently in the playoffs and getting to the conference finals at least. Is that a championship favorite? I don't think so. But Kevin Durant is still Kevin Durant. This is a guy that is a shot creator, someone that the Heat have kind of lacked. Now, unfortunately, we had Jimmy, but we didn't have anyone next to Jimmy. My worry is that with Kevin Durant on the roster, you're not going to have anyone next to Kevin Durant either. So I think it'll take more than just KD. Now, all that aside, y'all can let me know if y'all think KD's going to push this team over the top or not. I'm kind of iffy on. I have no idea still, because I kind of need to see the team next to him. But if you're kind of just replacing like for like KD for Wiggins, obviously it's not going to be just that. If you're going to make a trade, you're going to have to send more pieces out. Then I'm not sure if that's going to put the team over the top. And one more thing you have to kind of think about this is that if you trade for Kevin Durant, you're kind of capping yourself out for like any future possibilities of signing a few more players, because KD is making upwards of 50 a year. Bam, his extension is going to kick in. He's going to start making a lot more money. Tyler is eligible to be extended, and there are reports saying that the Heat are probably going to give him a 3-year, $150 million extension, which is crazy money to me. I love Tyler as because he's, you know, grown into a good player for the Heat, but I don't think he's worth that kind of money. But if you pay him, then you got 3 players making crazy money. So you're kind of stuck again. If you don't win, then you're stuck basically. So you're kind of throwing all your eggs into the KD basket if you're going to make this trade. Now, what would the package be is another question, because obviously I think Wiggins and Duncan Robinson are for sure going to be in the trade. You know, I think for the money to match up, Duncan Robinson is on an expiring contract of $20 million. I actually don't think it would be bad for the Phoenix Suns to take Duncan Robinson's contract, because Duncan Robinson, like I said, he's on an expiring contract of $20 million. I think Andrew Wiggins, I'm not sure how long his contract is, but I think he makes around 29-ish million a year. So when you kind of add those, or he makes somewhere in the realm of like high 20s, I believe, per year. So you'd obviously have to throw in those 2 players. Now, the Suns would clearly want more than that. Now, obviously, Kevin Durant, his stock has declined heavily. Like, his trade value has declined because everyone knows he's going to get traded. So the Suns would be crazy for me to ask for Khalil Ware, because Khalil Ware to me should not be involved in this trade. But any combination of Nikola Jovic, Jaime Jaquez, and Pelle Larsson is probably what the Heat are going to try to offer. Probably one, I think they're going to try to offer either one of Jovic or Jaime. They're going to offer the 20th overall pick for sure, and then maybe a future second-round pick, or 2 future second-round picks, or maybe even a future first if that's not enough. That is probably going to be the deal. You know what I'm saying? That you're looking at. And you still have Terry Rozier's contract. So maybe you can throw in Terry Rozier instead of either Wiggins or Duncan, and probably because you have 3 kind of sizable contracts that are tradable right now. You have Terry, Wiggins, and Duncan. 2 of those are going to have to be used for Kevin Durant. It's going to have to be Wiggins, and I think Wiggins and Duncan makes the most sense financially. I think you're going to have to try to get something out of trading Terry Rozier. I don't know what team is going to want him, because he was one of the most disappointing players in the league, not just the team, in the league last year. But you're going to have to see if you can try to flip Terry for someone. I've seen the Heat being linked to DeMar DeRozan. That's another player that I've seen being linked to the Heat. DeMar DeRozan is a player that the Heat have wanted to get for years. When they first got Kyle Lowry in 2021, I believe is when we signed Kyle Lowry, they were trying to get Kyle and DeMar and reunite both of them together on Miami. Now, it wasn't possible to get DeMar because they didn't have the money to offer him. They only had a mid-level exception, so he ended up going to Chicago for more money. But DeMar is on Sacramento right now. Sacramento looks to be in a very bad position. You know, DeMar is making a good amount of money. He's a player that is very tough to fit on a lot of teams because of his skill set. It's not like his skill set is very limited. He's very good at what he does, but his skill set he's not like a versatile offensive player. He plays inside the perimeter as a wing, so he can't shoot threes. His explosiveness is not really there no more. He's like a mid-range and elbow kind of type of player. He kind of just shoots a lot of jumpers in the mid-range area, and that's kind of anti what basketball is today for a lot of these coaches and analysts, because it's anti-analytics. That's what his game is. So it's not like a pretty game by any means, but he can score the ball. Like he's still a 20-point per game scorer. Yeah, he might be a little inefficient here and there, and yeah, he takes a lot of ugly shots, but it's effective for his standards. So he's still a good player. He's a solid player. Do I want DeMar DeRozan on Miami? Absolutely not. I think that is a terrible fit. And the reason it's a terrible fit is because DeMar DeRozan, Kevin Durant, Tyler Hero, Bam Adebayo, on paper it sounds okay, cool. Like, can I see it work? Maybe. Am I a fan of the fit? I don't know, because are you playing DeMar at the 2? Are you playing DeMar at the 3 and KD at the 4? Like, are you playing Bam and Ware still together? Because if your lineup is Hero, DeMar, KD, Bam, and Ware, you're gonna have to get Bam Adebayo or Khalil Ware to shoot the 3 ball really, really well. Because if not with 2 bigs and with DeMar DeRozan, your only floor spacers reliably are Hero and KD, and you still don't have a true point guard with that lineup. So it's ugly. The fit is a little ugly. Now on paper, it's a talented team, but does it fit together is the real question. They still have to make this work, by the way, because it's not a lock that they're gonna go get either of these players. But this is kind of similar to kind of what Phoenix did, where they had Beal, Booker, KD. Like they had like a lot of names, but they didn't really fit on paper. They didn't have a point guard. They had Beal and Booker running the point guard. So listen, do you want to get a bunch of names? Because the era of trying to just get a bunch of guys and putting them together who are talented is not going to work. You need to build competent rosters. I mean, look at the teams in the finals right now. The Pacers don't have a ton of names. Halliburton, Siakam, Turner are their 3 best players. And apart from Hallie and Siakam, no one else on their team has made an all-star game or has been an all-NBA player or is like is a pedigree of being a star. They're all role players on their teams. But they have a very good fitting roster together because they have guys who kind of play their role extremely well, like Nembhard and Nesmith and Mathurin and Miles Turner. Like they have like a bunch of guys that kind of do their job. Even OKC, like J-Dub, yeah, he's an all-star. He's a fringe all-star, I guess. And Chet is an all-star level talent, but they don't really have a ton of like big names besides Shea. You know what I'm saying? Like, but they have, again, guys who kind of play their roles, like a Dort and a Case and Wallace and a Caruso. Like, I feel like when you're building championship teams in 2025, it's gonna take a lot more than just stacking up names on paper and just trying to fit a bunch of square pegs into round holes. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just not gonna work out. It's not that easy. Like, the only team that kind of did it last year was Boston, because they had a bunch of, names on their team, but they also had guys off their bench like Pritchard and Hauser and Horford who really helped them. So do you want to kind of just go all in, limit yourself for the future, trade away your future picks, trade away your young pieces and go get KD and DeMar? Or the other option that I haven't even talked about yet is to kind of reset the whole thing and rebuild, whatever the word you want to use is. Trade away Duncan, Wiggins, Terry. Trade away Hero if you don't want to pay him that money. And go younger and invest in this 20th overall pick. Try to get another pick in the first round. Try to get future draft capital. Try to save money. Try to take a few years to kind of just revamp up back to being a contender. And do it that way. Or do you want to do the brute force method, which is kind of what I feel like the Heat are going to try to do, and kind of just fish for names and try to go get a star player or something like that, even though the fit now might be the best. I think the more logical choice is to kind of do the patient, like slow retooling that might take a few years, but it'll be a lot easier to execute. Yeah, you're going to sacrifice maybe a year or two because you're going to be pretty bad. You're going to try to, obviously get younger. So you're going to have to develop a lot of these players that you're going to play. But you'll reap the rewards in a couple years because you're going to be patient by doing it. So no matter if the players turn out to be good or bad, which I think Miami, you can criticize their front office, but you cannot criticize their scouting and developing. I think those two are probably the biggest strengths. And I think their coaching is too. Obviously, Spo had a down year, but I feel like those aspects of the Heat are top-notch still. Like Adam Simon, like the scouting, the developing team still do a really good job by molding these guys into serviceable players or good players, or, players that you can use. So I have no doubts that if the Heat go the other route, the more, I guess, patient, slow route where they kind of reset the whole thing, I feel like they will find success in a few years after they do that. But do they want to do that is the big question. Does Pat Riley, at his age, want to do that? And I don't think the answer is yes. I think Pat Riley is going to still want to do the same thing he's tried to do, which is try to go get someone that can help them win right now. And whether that'll pay off or not, we don't know. Whether they can even get these players, we don't know. I'm talking about the package for Kevin Durant. Like I said, there's still 5 other teams who were mentioned in that report from Shams, and I still think that they can beat our offers, man. I think San Antonio has the best chance to beat anyone's offer because they have so many young pieces, picks, and contracts they can trade away. I think Minnesota can beat the offer. I think a lot of the teams that were mentioned, if not all of them, can beat that offer for Kevin Durant. So it's not even a lock that we're going to go out and get him. You know what I'm saying? Especially because they rejected our deal to kind of get him last year. I think they really wanted Ware. The Heat are not going to give up Ware. So it's going to be tough to get KD. Unless he's like, listen, I want to go to Miami. And even so, you saw how that turned out with Dame. So the Heat are going to have to play this right, man. I feel like I'm kind of scared here because I don't think we're going to end up getting KD. I think I've spent too many off seasons making videos and seeing a lot of these rumors of players, of stars being linked to Miami. And Miami's always find themselves in the mix. You know what I'm saying? They're like the Lakers. Like they always find themselves in the mix for any star as far as rumors and reports, but they never actually end up going to the Miami Heat. So I've been around this enough. I've spent year after year hoping and praying for a star player to come to Miami in the past to know that, listen, this is a pipe dream. maybe it's a little bit more realistic than I'm thinking because I'm just kind of scarred from the past few off seasons. But I don't think we're going to end up getting KD. Because even though we might be after him, I still think a lot of teams can beat our offers. You know what I'm saying? So it's going to be tough. It's going to be really tough to go get him. Even though his value is low, a team like San Antonio can literally just go, they don't even have to trade the number 2 overall pick to get him. That's how much assets that they have. So listen, am I expecting KD to be a Miami Heat player? No. But I think the Heat will try to get him. I think we will see a lot more ramping up as, the finals end and as the draft gets closer. There's teams in the draft that have 4 or 5 picks, and you obviously can't pick that many players because you're gonna have to bring so many into your team. So I'm expecting some trades to be held around draft time, and I think the draft is towards the end of the month. So hopefully, man, we'll see some noise being made. But let me know in the comment section below kind of what you think. Like, there's a few thoughts that I want to hear from you guys. Number 1, do you guys want Kevin Durant or DeMar DeRozan on this team? Number 2, do you think we can get them? And number 3, if you don't want Kevin Durant, if you don't want DeMar DeRozan, who do you want to get / do you want to go the younger route and kind of just pause, reset the whole build, etc., etc.? You let me know in the comment section below, man. This is really fun recording this video. I'll keep y'all posted as the rumors keep going by. I'll keep making videos. And yeah, last but not least, let me know who you got in the finals. I'll see you later as always. Peace.